Comic Stew.
And welcome to episode 7 of the Comic Stew. My name's Aaron, and I am joined, as always, by my good buddy, Mr. JC Argensinger.
What's up?
What up?
Happy New Year.
Thanks, man. You'll have to excuse me. I'm a little under the weather today. I woke up with a sore throat, and I'm feeling like a half step down. Not a full step, like a half step.
So, still many steps below me.
Yes, because you're two steps above me at all times.
Well, if it's any consolation, I'm a little still recovering from life and sleep and years and traveling and.
Well, speaking of which, how did you ring in 2016? How was that?
Honestly, I had to work at 7 a.m. 2016, day one. So I rang it in, at my casa with a bottle of champagne and myself, and then went to bed.
Yeah, you didn't do jack. I know this. I felt bad because
you for the record did not invite me to ring in 2016 with you.
What are you talking about? I told you we were going to be at the neighborhood spot.
I did not get an invite.
I procured a table and we proceeded to ring in the new year.
Yeah, didn't get an invite. Must have, he must have been really cute.
It was fun. We had a good time. But here's the thing. I always feel bad when I know you have to work in the morning, even inviting you anywhere, because I feel like you're kind of you're good enough friends with everyone that you're probably going to hear about stuff. And I mean, I could invite you, but if I do and you feel obligated to show up, it's going to affect your next day. And so that was kind of my thinking, I guess.
Intelligent decision.
Yeah.
You know
what? If that was intelligent, maybe I shouldn't have done it.
What?
If that was intelligent, maybe I shouldn't have done it.
Right. I know. It's very unlike you.
Yeah. Well, we had fun to play in the new year. Yeah, you've been working weird hours. Let's stop that, JC.
As you wish.
Okay. Good. So speaking of what we were sipping on the other night, what are you sipping on right now?
I'm actually not sipping on anything right now.
No, you're not.
No. So I'm failing today.
Party pooper.
I am failing completely today.
Yeah. Well, I'm sipping on some coffee because I need it. I've been tired all day, and some water because I feel like I've been dehydrated for the last couple of days, which may be part of this whole deal.
That's the alcohol.
Shut up. All right. So for this episode, we thought we'd ring in the new year with a kind of a special episode and talk about some of our favorite things from 2015. Specifically, we had 4 categories we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about comics, of course. We're going to talk about movies, TV shows, and lastly, we don't talk about them a lot on this show, but we want to talk a few video games because at least I partake in that particular hobby quite a bit. And you
that was some shade.
I think you do, but I feel like you let me down constantly with playing the video games.
No, the problem is you have different hours for gaming than I do, and you let me down. Yeah,
this is true. You want to start video gaming at at 12. And I'm down to start playing at 7. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, I was confused. I thought when you said your favorite things of 2015, this was just going to be an episode where you talked about me, and now I don't know what to do.
My favorite thing was how many shots JC blocks for me when we play hockey.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, hopefully we start up this week. We'll see. I'm kind of worried we might not even have a team this year, though.
They'll show up.
Yeah, I don't know. That group text was looking kind of dour, so we'll see. Well, we'll let you know next week if we have a team or not.
All right.
But anyways,
A little news.
yeah. So what's the first thing on the little news segment this week?
Well, I saw this, and I guess it's probably from December. Um, but I just saw it recently, and it was interesting to say the least. So as you know, they're doing, in addition to the three new sequels to Star Wars, they're also doing the three spin-off movies. Rogue One, which comes out next December, and then a young Han Solo movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
What's the third one? Is it the Boba Fett one?
yeah, I think it's going to be Boba Fett, is what they've said. But I've heard less about that one. But
Yeah,
it
that
was
was the one that what's his face was supposed to direct. Josh Trank, the Fantastic Four guy.
right. Don't know if that's going to happen still.
Yeah, we won't talk about him.
But the rumor was that that Chandler Riggs of Carl from Walking Dead fame auditioned as young Han Solo. I'm assuming young Han Solo, but um, still kind of interesting and cool news. I mean, don't know if he'll actually get it or whatever, but kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
but isn't every actor out there in Hollywood auditioning for Han Solo?
Sure, but I feel like he could pull that off because he's like one of the baddest people, in pop culture right now.
Yeah, I like him as
Of that age.
Carl. I like him as Carl, but I don't know if he has the charisma to pull off a young Han Solo. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
that's scripting and whatever,
Well, no, that's acting. That's this personality. I don't know, man. Like Harrison Ford, he
Yeah, but
he's below that character's beloved because of his performance.
well, right, but who can replace Hunt? I mean, who can replace Harrison? Nobody. So
Nobody,
we can just move on.
not even old Harrison Ford can replace Harrison Ford.
Oh, all right.
No,
Let's
I thought he was fine, but yeah, let's not talk about that anymore.
uh,
Uh,
do we want to talk about this George Lucas?
oh yeah, since we're talking about Star Wars, go ahead. It was it pertains to the interview. I think it's a little old now, but it was like a week or so ago,
With
where he was on Charlie Rose.
yeah,
And what I thought was funny about the interview was how the stark contrast between this interview and the one that came out before the movie, which made me think like maybe Disney like gave him a few bucks to say something positive about the film. But remember, before the movie came out, he said, "quote I think the fans will like this movie. I think the fans will like it."
yeah,
Then what does he do when he goes on Charlie Rose?
yeah. He just kind of shits on it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, didn't he say that the movie's too retro?
Yeah,
Yeah,
um, doesn't go anywhere new.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Ironically, some of the same complaints I had, but I mean, they're valid complaints. I mean, I don't feel like he was necessarily completely shitting on the movie, but he was just talking about some of his issues with it, and I don't think that he necessarily thinks it's a bad movie, but it's just you know what it is. It's like it's just a filmmaker saying that he would do things differently. That's all it is.
well, yeah, and clearly, and we saw how that worked with the prequels.
Yeah, well, honestly, I would be sort of interested because before Episode 7 came out, all I wanted was for other filmmakers to do Star Wars and take over Star Wars. And now that The Force Awakens is out, I kind of am curious to know like what George would have done for 7, 8, and 9. Like maybe not actually see the movies because I still feel like they wouldn't have been executed if he was directing. I don't feel like they would have been executed up to like the standard they could be. But I would like to see what his story ideas were for this
Yeah.
trilogy.
Um,
Because apparently he had outlines for this trilogy that he gave to Disney, and they rejected them, obviously. But it's kind of curious.
no, it's definitely
Makes me
curious.
intrigued.
That's one of those things like you wonder like it'd be great to see that at one point, but probably will be buried. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, then I saw a little news that I thought would really make you happy.
Making me very, very happy. Oh yes.
A little Daredevil season 2 release date.
Oh
Very
yeah.
curious release date as well.
Yes.
Little
Keep
Marvel saying fuck you to DC a little bit.
uh I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess the news was that Daredevil season 2 is gonna actually debut earlier than expected on March 25th.
There's
And
something coming out that day.
there's something else coming out that day. Well, what is that?
Little
Wait,
indie
DC
film.
has a movie coming out that day?
Little indie DC film.
Oh yeah. It's is that the Booster Gold one that's coming out?
Yeah, I think it must be
Oh
Booster
wait, they're
Gold.
just talking about that one. Oh yeah, it's Batman versus Superman. Those two
Versus Wonder
old,
Woman
old
versus
dudes. Yeah.
Lex
Versus
Luthor.
Aquaman versus Flash versus Justice League.
Yeah.
Everyone in the same movie.
Yeah.
I did hear some more unconfirmed reports that the movie's actually pretty good. So
Yeah, I heard that one.
I'm optimistic.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But enough about Batman vs Superman. Yeah, Daredevil season 2, March 25th. That's it. That is the rumor, right? It's not like
No,
confirmed.
I'm pretty sure that's confirmed.
Okay.
So yeah, buckle up.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the year's kind of flown by, but also I was thinking about it and I was like, did Daredevil season 1 come out last year? Like for some reason I was thinking it came out around the same time Jessica Jones did last year, but it came out in March, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the
Okay.
year has flown by, Aaron. These
It
4
kind of
days have
has.
just gone by like that.
Oh yeah. No, you know what? Actually, you're totally right.
Um,
Fastest 4 days I've experienced.
so there's a trailer we wanted to talk about, show that we wanted to talk about as well. Just because it seems insane that it exists.
Okay, so just for everyone's benefit, I had no idea what the show was 5 minutes before we hit record. So, JC, take it away.
I know this is based on something that I didn't read.
It's a book series based on a book
I
series.
believe so.
All right, let's tell everybody what it is.
It is Shannara. Shannara?
Shannara.
Um,
I think it's isn't it Shannara?
Shannara, yeah.
The Shannara Chronicles.
The Shannara Chronicles. It is MTV produced TV show. Their version of Game of Thrones meets Lord of the Rings meets Twilight. The trailer looks like it has huge production values. It looks kind of cool. It's got some kind of cool casting, but I mean, it's on MTV, so it makes you think like, you gonna watch it?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a series of books by Terry Brooks. When were they published? Oh wow! So they were published 1977 through 85, so quite a while ago.
Hey,
Yeah.
could be really really cool show. I don't know, but MTV just dubious at this point with their original programming. So
Yeah, I find it interesting, first of all, that MTV is doing a show like this, and I guess it just speaks to my just lack of just general TV landscape knowledge, which is ironic because this is how I make my living. But had no idea that MTV was like in the business of doing these kind of shows. Like, I guess it really seems like now just like random networks are doing original programming and trying to like make their mark a la Game of Thrones.
yeah, I mean, I don't think they were really in the market until this. So um, we shall see, I guess. The trailer got me interested enough to watch an episode. From there, it has to be good.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I briefly checked this out like 5 minutes before the show started, but apparently Manu Bennett is in it. He of Deathstroke fame from Arrow season 1 and 2. And
Also in some other little indie film.
yeah, he was the main antagonist in The Hobbit. And of course, he was my favorite character he's ever played was Crixus in Spartacus, on Spartacus on Stars. So I think he's a great actor. I know he's the rumor around Hollywood is he's kind of crazy, but I think he's a great actor. He's one of the I think he's one of those crazy people who he channels his craziness into good performances.
Only you could do that.
If only. Yeah,
Um,
so yeah, it does look like it has high production values, but I don't know. Some of the shots too, and some of the costume designs, the king who is played by John Rice Davies, which is actually kind of cool. But then I saw his like costume design, and I don't know, man. I guess what it comes down to is it's if these you know it can look kind of shoddy, like it doesn't have to look great, and if it's a good story and it's written well, I mean it can totally pass. But I just have no idea what MTV is going to dictate at, into their original programming, so I have no idea. I mean, maybe I'll check out the first episode.
yeah, I mean that's kind of yeah. It looks interesting enough where I'm like, I'll watch the first episode, and then that better be amazing.
Yeah, I gotta say one thing though, just because this is like this show is obviously a fantasy, I guess medieval fantasy esque another show, and I've got to be honest, like I love that genre, but I'm very picky with it because whenever you dip your toes into a world like let's say The Witcher or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, you have to learn the rules of these worlds because if it's fantasy and there's magic involved, I mean you have to figure out what makes these worlds tick and like how a lot of these worlds are really cool because their mythology is so deep and everything. But I mean, it's just another set of rules you have to learn, and I don't know. So I'm always a little hesitant to jump into a show, a fantasy show or movie series, just because of that. Um,
Oh come on, it's not that
it's
big of a
easier
deal.
to do like straight medieval fantasy like Vikings or The Last Kingdom for me. I mean, because that's like okay, it's based on historical fiction, so you know what the rules are. You just go in and have fun. This show looks like it has elves, and I heard something about the battle of the four races, and it's just all this backstory that I don't know if I want to really dive into that, but I might check out the first episode. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is if it's good enough, you'll want to.
Yeah,
That's what it comes down to.
well,
Um,
we'll find out.
Speaking of shows that have new rules and things like that to learn, let's talk about The Expanse.
Oh yes, uh, yeah. Is that new rules? I feel like that's just like where technology is going in the future.
But like new worlds, new new classes of people, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes,
new
we.
universe.
So you tried the show. Did you watch all four
I
episodes that are
did.
out?
I did.
You did. Awesome. Yeah. So I've seen all four, and to put it simply, I am in love with the show. I think it's great. It's on Syfy, which is pretty shocking that a really good show is on Syfy these days. But yeah, I am really really enjoying it. It has Thomas Jane in it, and basically the plot is um, you're kind of in this. You kind of have three factions, I guess you could say that sets up the backdrop of the show. You have the Earthers, um, and that whole political dimension. You have this military kind of society based on Mars because they're in the process of colonizing Mars. And lastly, you have this. What are they called in the show?
Belters.
Belters, and they're basically like on a space station, like between
They're
Mars and the
well,
Earth, right?
they're basically no, they're like they're out by like Europa and asteroid belts, and basically they live.
But they're on a space station. They're in space on a space station.
Some of them are on like moons and stuff like that, but
Okay.
they're all deeper. They're all deeper space essentially, where
Yeah.
less sunlight and air and water are high priced commodities, and
Right.
uh,
And a lot of these people are actually born into like a no gravity environment, so they can't actually go to the Earth because the gravity is too great, which
yeah,
is kind of an
they're-
interesting concept. Like
they-
they actually torture a guy by just like hanging him from like just a simple like set of hooks like by his arms, and he's like being tortured just from the pull of the Earth's gravity.
yeah, and just to clarify, not like hooks with like points or anything, just like
No, just like he's just hooked over like pegs in the wall, basically, like
yeah,
his arms are, and he can't move because it's just too hard for him.
yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. You were saying something.
Well, yeah, no, and like you said, that's the backdrop and or the drama, which is the conflict that begins between these three factions. Through at this point, I think it seems like we're not let to know what is causing the tension, who is starting the battles.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. So that's the backdrop. You have these three factions. The Belters. Now the Belters are kind of like the lower class, and they're kind of like the blue collar class that basically like mines and transport stuff for Mars and the Earth. So they're kind of this disenfranchised group, and a group of them go off, and they're shuttling between. Is it Mars they're shuttling to, and they get a distress call, and basically this
They're
a
hauling
ship.
ice.
What's that?
They're hauling ice out to the belt for
Yeah,
war.
and they receive a distress call. A ship is destroyed, and it basically pulls the Earth and Mars into this conflict, and the belt is kind of inflamed with rhetoric, and there's a lot of demonstrations. Basically, there's a huge there's a big basically chaos is starting to brew among the delicate balance that's kind of holding these three societies together. Um, and yeah, there's not a lot of famous actors in this, but Thomas Jane is one of the main characters. He's a detective on the belt. Um, but it's cast well. I like all the characters.
Yeah, no, I mean, what was there's a couple people who you've seen in things, but yeah, no one
Yeah, I
other than
can't.
Thomas Jane who's
Yeah, I really can't think of who else is in besides Thomas Jane who I've seen before. But I really like everybody in the show. It's supposedly it's based on a series of books written by uh, Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank, and I think they go by the pseudonym James S. Corey because they write these books together. And Ty Frank was a former assistant of George Martin, actually, and Daniel Abraham's a good friend of George Martin, so he's always like pimping this show and the books on his blog and stuff. So that's actually how I found out about it. And they're producers on the show. I have not read the books, but they're producers on the show, and I I get the sense that these are really smart books because the show is taking. I think the show is really taking its cues from the books, and it's really just an intelligent show that's like well written, and the stakes are high, and I just care about what's going on. You know.
yeah. I was gonna say the other actor who is kind of memorable is Paul Costanzo, who was like on that show Royal Pains and has been like an actor in a bunch of like other movies like um, Doctor Dolittle 3, 40 Days, 40 Nights, Joey, the TV show, like stuff like that, where you're like, oh, it's that guy, but you don't really know who the hell he is.
Okay. I don't think I've seen him in any of that stuff.
Okay. He was
But
on the script as well.
based on last episode, I don't think I've seen anything. So that doesn't surprise anybody right now. Okay, so yeah, The Expanse, highly recommended. If you like Battlestar or Firefly, I think you really would dig the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say very much a Battlestar kind of feel as far as the political drama tensions and similar production, I think.
Yeah, and the show definitely looks good. I feel like it is a little constrained by a budget, but I feel like with the budget they have, they definitely do the best they can, and it's a good looking show.
Yeah, no, it's a
I
good
look,
looking show, and I'm impressed by the amount of zero G that they put in the show, which is always hard to do.
yeah, and yeah, I think it's probably a testament to where today's digital camera technology is, with how good they're able to make the show look. Because I know Sci-Fi is pretty stingy with their budget because I mean they're a small network, they have to be. But yeah, it's a good looking show. It surprises me. So yes, definitely recommended. Uh, I would say Comics Do recommended, JC.
Comics do recommended.
Nice. Yes. Well, I'm stoked about tomorrow's episode because I need to know what happened.
All right,
That is out on Tuesdays on Sci-Fi.
all right. Well,
Yep.
let's get into our top 2015 list.
All right. Now these are our favorite things of 2015. Not necessarily the best things out there. They're just our favorite things that we read or watched or played. So this is not an exhaustive list. It's just a very kind of quick hit list. I was actually looking at some of the just looking through the categories and seeing everything that did come out, and just feeling the crushing weight of shame of all the stuff that I haven't seen or read or experienced. It's just there's not enough time in the day, and it's tough.
Yeah, no, it's impossible, which is
Yeah,
great. Which is why we go back to things and read old books and old movies and all of that because yeah, you hear about things later sometimes,
yeah,
or you don't
and
get around to it that year, and you know,
yeah. Now I think all of my picks are actually from 2015, but
well,
it's not necessarily.
that's because you're better than me.
Yeah, well, so basically, for JC and me, we decided that if we read it in 2015 or saw it or something, that's kind of fair game. But I think actually all my stuff is from 2015.
Well, you know
So
what? Let's get started.
let's get started. And our first category is comics. We thought we'd kick it off right. And I'm gonna ask you, JC, what was your top comic of 2015? Now we're just doing our favorite one thing, and then we'll do a few runners up.
Yeah,
Hopefully, not more than two.
I think for things that we read in 2015, I think we actually might overlap here. Because
Okay.
I'm gonna have to say Darth Vader. Um,
Ooh,
but
that that's interesting. I actually did not know you picked that.
but for book period that I read, like comic book that I read period, I'm really digging Preacher. Um,
So, Preacher's
so
your runner up.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'm not going to include Alias because that's an old favorite that I reread, so I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah. You can't include that.
Yeah. Uh,
And you got a couple more runners up.
well, I was gonna talk about some books because I know you don't tend to read
Oh, you know
books,
what? Actually, I forgot to include that prose as a subsection. Sorry,
but I
sorry,
was
audience.
but I was gonna
Yeah.
say for books, and again, I'm not sure. I think both of these might have been published in the last 5 years, but would be Ready Player One,
Mhm.
and runner up would probably be The Martian, which I read prior to seeing the movie. But Ready Player One is a pretty cool book, and yeah, I wish there was. It was one of those books where I'm like, I wish there was a lot more. Um,
Yeah, I need to read that. I That's one that's on my docket. You keep recommending it. Some other people have, so yeah, I need to get on that.
You reading any books that
Cool.
you like?
So yes. So speaking of which, since ours overlap, I think we've talked about this book pretty exhaustively, but it's so funny looking at the whole list of comics. Like, it's kind of shocking that I would pick a book like Darth Vader to be my favorite comic of the year. But I mean, I cannot tell you how much I just enjoyed every issue of this book. Like, Kieran Gillen just destroyed it in his portrayal of Vader. Like, it was so perfect, and just coupled with Salvador LaRocca's art. I mean, I'm not always like a huge Salvador LaRocca fan, but on certain books, like when he draws Iron Man, and it seems like when he draws machinery, like he just really nails that. And so he's perfect for Darth Vader. I love the surrounding characters that are in that book, and I just hope that Kieran Gillen writes this book for a long time. I mean, I'm really just curious to know what happens to these characters. It would be cool if somehow he was able to kind of skip around the movies and possibly keep the same side characters in some capacity. Like, I hope he doesn't just kill them off, but we'll see.
We shall
It's
see.
still early. We got year 2 to look forward to. But yeah, we've talked about Darth Vader a lot on this show. So and did you want to say anything else about your runners up? You had Preacher and
I had Preacher as my runner-up.
okay.
Well, a book that I didn't read, and a book that wasn't from 2015 for sure. But
Well, you know what? You'll probably talk about that more because are you still reading that? You're in the
yeah,
process of reading that, right? Okay.
still in the process of reading that.
All
Yeah,
right. Cool.
I'm trying to get the whole series in. So
Gotcha.
I'll let you know. I mean, I also read Walking Dead for the first time this year, which would probably go on as a runner-up as well. But again, old classic, so
Yeah.
not surprising.
Okay. So obviously, my favorite is also Darth Vader for comics of 2015, and my runner-up is Southern Bastards. I think that launched early 2015 or maybe late 2014. I might be getting that wrong, but I feel like there's around 12 issues out, so it's roughly a year. So I consider that a 2015 book. And yeah, Southern Bastards is just Jason Aaron at his finest, and he's writing a crime tale in a small Alabama town with the antagonist being a football coach, and it just works so well. And it is dirty and gritty, and just it's so compelling. And JC, you need to read this book.
All right.
I know I gave you all my scalp trades to read, but you also need to get on Southern Bastards.
All right.
I would maybe say read Scalped first, but you need to get on that too. So, by the way, speaking of which, I don't know how much I've asked you this, but like, how much Jason Aaron have you read?
Not a ton at this point.
Okay, because he's pretty much hands down my favorite comics writer, and it's kind of a shame you haven't really got into his work more. But that's what this show's about, right, JC?
Yeah, I mean, you haven't read most of my favorites, so there you go.
Yes, but it's more important that you experience my favorite books and writers. So obviously, you need to
I
read more
wish I
Jason
wish our
Aaron.
viewers at home could see the massive eye roll that I just gave.
Uh, everybody, listen to me.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to movies. Actually, let me just mention, since I didn't put it in there, but I did have a favorite book prose I read. I read very few prose novels this year, but I need to throw in the hardcover collection of the 3 novellas that George Martin wrote. And it was in a collection called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I talked about it on a previous show. It's great. The artwork is illustrated, fully illustrated. It's a wonderful package. Anyone who enjoys A Song of Ice and Fire should read it. It's just a great set of George Martin stories from Westeros. So yeah, that'd be definitely my favorite of the year. Now, moving on to movies. JC, what was your top movie of 2015?
My top movie of 2015 would probably have to be The Martian.
Okay.
Um, and I'd say runner up, runners up, Star Wars and Mad Max.
All right. All right. We have one overlap, but not for the favorite.
I think we have two overlaps.
Oh, actually, yeah, you're right. We do have two overlaps. But my favorite was Mad Max Fury Road. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need to talk about that at this point. I think it was.
If you didn't see it, go see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
There's
I mean,
nothing to say.
I think that was kind of hands down my favorite too, because I was looking at the list of all the movies that came out, and it just kind of made me realize, first of all, again, how few movies I actually saw this year. I think this year may have been a new record for the amount of movies that I saw in the theater. I'm pretty sure it was less than 10. So yeah, I'm going off a very small sample size, but I mean, I thought Mad Max was head and shoulders above movies like Jurassic World and even Star Wars. I mean, I really just thought it was just way above those in terms of quality. And yeah, that experience I got from watching Mad Max has definitely not been replicated this year. But my two runners up were The Martian, which we both did enjoy. I did enjoy watching that, and I did watch it with JC.
Yeah,
And
I think the difference here is like you're talking about a movie that like Mad Max, where that's this different experience that no one's ever seen before, really, even in a Mad
right,
Max movie.
right,
Uh,
but
the Martian is maybe not something that we haven't ever seen before, but it might be a um, better
okay.
movie. Might work better
Whoa,
as a
whoa, whoa.
like.
Well, what does that mean?
I mean, no. I mean, these are all perspectives. You know, um, it's a completely different type of movie. It's not an action movie the way.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're, Mad Max, I walked out, I was blown away. That was the feeling I got. That was the experience. No other movie has done that this year.
Well,
The Martian was good though. I actually probably thought The Martian was Ridley Scott's best directed movie in quite a while. I feel like,
oh yeah, for sure.
and story. I mean, this has a lot to do with the story. Wise, it was probably his cleanest, most accessible, and I think most well told story he's done for a while.
Yeah, I think that yeah, I think you said it's the virtue of the source material that he was working off of.
Yeah, and that's saying something because the guy does a ton of movies.
But I've got a curious question. Your other runner-up.
Oh yes, yeah. This is funny because I was looking at the list of movies. As I said, realizing how few movies I actually saw, and I was looking at it and just thinking, like, you know what? This one just snuck in there. It was one of my favorites of the year, and I'm talking about Ant-Man. I really did enjoy that movie. Like it surprised me. Maybe
I,
I
I don't
maybe
recall you enjoying the movie when we saw it.
really.
Like I remember you being like, "Eh."
Oh no, I liked the movie. Like I was surprised, and like here's the thing: I went to it with very low expectations, extremely low expectations, and maybe this kind of bolstering my pick, and maybe of course, it's also due to the fact that I haven't seen that many movies in 2015, but I was really I was really kind of taken by the movie. Like I thought it was good. And yeah, I know basically I walked out of the movie feeling only positive about it, where in Star Wars I felt a lot of negative. And again, I have not seen Star Wars for a second time. I'm hoping my opinion changes, but just after seeing it once, yeah, I had a lot of issues, so I couldn't put Star Wars in there.
I mean, I think I think the Star Wars falls from that specter of you have these emotions attached to Star Wars and XYZ. It isn't going to live up to the original movies, all these different things that it's trying to do.
Yeah,
But you will, without a doubt, end up watching that movie far more times than you will watch Ant-Man.
probably, but based on the impression of watching the movie, each movie one time, I enjoyed Ant-Man more. So that's why it's on my list. That's why it's my runner-up.
Yeah.
But undoubtedly, Fury Road was the best thing I saw this year.
Like, I mean, I don't disagree with the Fury Road choice. The Ant-Man choice, the movie was just so vanilla to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's where we disagree. I thought it had a lot of heart and it was funny, and it surprised me with how much I liked it.
All right.
Yeah. Now moving on, we are staying on the screens, and we're moving to the small screen. JC, favorite TV show of 2015?
Favorite TV show is a hard one. There's a lot of great stuff out there right now.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's definitely we're gonna go kind of heavy on stuff that's newer as opposed to stuff that we've seen 4 or 5 seasons of. I mean,
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, there was a lot of new stuff that came out this year.
the most recent season of Walking Dead or the half season that we've gotten was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But it's season 6, so it kind of
Right. Although, I mean, if you wanted to, you could. I think you could put that in there because, I mean, like that's probably the best the show's ever been. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like if you feel that way, it warrants being in there.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a runner-up for me, but definitely
There was some good stuff
there
this
was a
year.
ton of great stuff this year. So my winner is gonna have to be Jessica Jones. I really dug the show.
Shocking.
Um, it lived up to being a comic that I loved. It lived up as an adaptation by doing some things differently than the book, but capturing the tone and the feel of the book really well. And then runner-ups would be Master of None. Was to me a great show. Great
That
show.
was a Netflix show, right?
Netflix as well. Aziz Ansari, very topical, very funny, and somewhat, makes some statements in there as well. But also a lot of just kind of topical humor. Pretty well done show. Very surprising to me because wasn't expecting something that good from Aziz Ansari. But really enjoyed that.
Did he write the show?
I believe so.
Okay.
And Daredevil would also be a runner-up. And for me, always falling into my favorite TV show is Archer on FX.
Yeah.
Because as far as spirit animals go, Archer's my spirit animal. So.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of Archer. I've seen a few episodes. How many seasons of that is there now?
I think it's 5 or 6, but this season was definitely kind of a return. I felt a return to form. I think the last 2 seasons or so were kind of not as they were fun, but not necessarily as good as the earlier seasons.
Gotcha. Cool. I have one. Yeah, I have one overlap with you, and
wonder what that one could be.
Yeah, I wonder. It's ironic because I was kind of compelled. I don't know what compelled me, but I was compelled to start rewatching the series, and I'm, of course, talking about Marvel's Daredevil. And man, let me tell you what, JC. Rewatching that series, it is just as good as it was the first time. There is no fall off on the second viewing, man. It is so good. I really just love everything about that series. And I mean, I feel kind of bad because like I think I'm building up the expectations so much for season 2. Like, I just don't know if it can hit it, man.
Yeah, it was definitely a great show. That's why it was one of my runner-ups as well. I think it'll be interesting since there's new showrunners, a lot of new characters, Punisher, Elektra.
Yeah.
Um,
Some of the stuff has me a little worried about just about how they're talking about this season is going to be a little lighter, and it's like, I don't know. I love the
I
tone so much of
I
the
read
first
the
season.
I had heard that, but I read the description and it didn't actually sound like it was going to be lighter. It sounded like it was going to be more layered lighting. So instead of those scenes where you kind of have only one, the only thing you can really see is the character's face type of situation. You could now see layers of lighting throughout the room. That was what I got from it, but
Let's hope so.
let's hope so anyway.
Well, there's that, and there's also, of course, yeah, that there's a new showrunner and or showrunners. There's two of them, but they were associated with the first season, so hopefully they're just going to continue the tradition of greatness that they started. Um, but yes, and then my runners up, I have two runners up.
Okay.
One was, and this was very close to being my favorite of the year, but I felt like Daredevil was just so over the top good that I had to give it to Daredevil. But this show completely snuck up on me and surprised me. And this is actually another show that was recommended by George Martin from his blog. He's a big fan of Bernard Cornwell, who's a
Drop that name.
historical. Was it?
I said just pick up that name you dropped.
Isn't it Bernard Cornwell?
No, I was just messing with you because you were dropping George R. R. Martin like he was your buddy.
Oh well, yeah. It's one of his.
Another one George recommended to me.
Yeah. Well, I follow his blog, so it's one of the few blogs I read. So, and I guess his book 6 got delayed. That was one bit of news we didn't talk about this week.
Yeah, not gonna make it before the show apparently.
I knew it. I've been following him for a long time. I knew it.
Everyone else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Any other people that have been following him for more than 5 years knows it. Anyway, so my runner-up that was recommended from his, Georgie's blog, based on a series of books by Bernard Cornwell. I am, of course, talking about The Last Kingdom on BBC America. This is a medieval history show that is about the Danes invading what is a collection of kingdoms in England, and it was only 8 episodes. It was basically what I wanted Vikings to be. I watch Vikings and enjoy it mostly just because of the setting and stuff. But this show had awesome characters, had great writing, the directing was awesome, the music was great. Like, this show really just came together, and it was kind of that Viking show that I always wanted. So
BBC continues to kill it. I haven't seen this show, but I'm a big fan of a lot of their productions and been wanting to check out the show. So glad to hear it's that highly recommended by you.
It was so good, and in fact, after the first episode, I was watching that show on appointment viewing. Like, I watched it when it came out every week. It was that good.
Yeah, you still need to check out Sherlock though.
I know, I do. I really do.
Because that's probably my favorite modern retelling of Sherlock.
Yeah, is that on Netflix?
I believe the first 2 seasons are.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I do need to go on that. And then I had one more runner-up for TV, 2015, and this is actually a second season of a show, so I am throwing that in there. But I am talking about Penny Dreadful season 2. This is a Showtime show. It's created by John Logan, who he's written a lot of stuff. He wrote Skyfall, and this is the show that he made, and it's basically It's kind of a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen-esque type of subject because it brings together a lot of characters from literature, kind of around the same time period. So you have like you have Dr. Frankenstein, you have what's the guy who looks at the painting? Oh geez, what is his name?
Good story.
Yeah, I know. No, this is getting cut out. Damn it. What's
We,
the guy's name? Oh,
we have we have to cut out things that make Aaron look stupid, not things that make JC look stupid.
of course I produced the show. 51. I gotta mark that. All right. What bugs me when I can't remember the name. You have Dorian Gray. You have it has vampires. Like Count Dracula's hinted at. He hasn't appeared yet, per se, but you have characters like that who are thrown in all together, and then you have some new characters who kind of center the show. But it has Josh Hartnett as this American gunslinger. Eva Green, who's probably the coolest character on the show, is this well, I don't want to, if anyone hasn't seen it, like, you should watch it and to see what her deal is on the show. But it's a very well executed show, and extremely well written, well executed. It's going into season 3 next year, so I'm really stoked about checking that out.
Can I make one other runner up in there?
You want another runner up? You got 4 already.
Fine.
All right, you have 3. Go ahead. You can have 4. I'll give you a 4th. Go ahead.
One that I kind of thought was going to be on your list. That's why I kind of left it off of my list. Be a little show called The Strain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I guess, it doesn't make sense because I did put Penny Dreadful season 2 on. So I guess I should have put The Strain. But I guess I was thinking, I guess that'd probably be my top show of 2014. The first season of that. I thought the second season was really strong.
Yeah.
Definitely thought it was really strong. I guess I watched the bulk of it like late last year, so yeah, I guess I consider that kind of a last year show.
I thought you watched the whole show in 2015.
I think I watched season 1 in 2014. Oh no, I definitely watched season 2. I guess I watched season 2 in 2015, obviously.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, that's a great show as well.
Great show.
Maybe hopefully season 3 will be up there in my top or runners up for 2016. We'll see.
I feel like it might.
Where it left off, it definitely could go some interesting places. But yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to add it in there at the end, because I didn't want you to forget that.
No, you know what? I'm glad you did, because it definitely deserves a mention. Because yeah, both of us are definitely lovers of that show.
I just want everyone to know how he gave me shit for wanting to add in one, and now is thanking me for adding one. So,
and plus, I feel like whenever we do a top whatever list, I feel like Guillermo del Toro should have a place on there for either you or me or both. So let's try to keep that going.
Sounds about right. I did not see his film that came out this year, though. So.
Oh, I didn't either. Although I should have, and I wanted to.
Agreed.
All right. And lastly, this is a category we don't talk about a lot on the show, but it is one of my favorite hobbies. And I'm not being facetious, JC. I know you enjoy playing video games too. But I wanted to mention just a favorite video game of the year.
I can guess what your winner's gonna be.
You can guess. I hope you didn't look.
Let me look. But
well, I'll tell you what it wasn't. It definitely was not Star Wars Battlefront.
I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong.
That game did not. That game was very pretty. It was like that pretty girl at the bar that had nothing to say.
And I have to
That,
say that you know, I know you're talking shit right now because you see that's what's on my list, and I have to say,
no, it's really not. I'm not even talking shit about that. It's just I did not buy into that game.
no, I mean that's,
Bought it, unfortunately.
I mean, completely valid. I just really enjoyed it from a completely casual standpoint. Um,
Okay.
I definitely enjoyed some other games that I played this year, but I didn't feel like gave me the same satisfaction. Like Arkham Knight was a fun game, but um, was flawed, and I hated its flaws more. Um,
Yeah. And,
whereas
and, and,
whereas
and
this game I felt like didn't really hide from what it was, which was
yeah.
something really casual and really like you can just pick it up and you're in Star Wars and it's fun
Yeah.
and casual, and that was what I wanted from it. It fulfilled that need,
Yeah.
that want, and it's gorgeous looking and the sounds great, and
Yeah.
but it's complete fluff. It doesn't have there's not a
Yeah.
lot to it.
I can't, yeah, I know I can't fault you on any of those things you said because it's not shying away from what it is. I just wanted it to be more like Battlefield because Dice also made this game, and I was just hoping for some deeper systems, and I
Yeah, I
didn't get
mean,
them, and so
I agree with you. I think it its biggest failures are that it didn't just have more Battlefield-esque elements like 3 or 4 person squads, for example. What the
oh,
fuck?
that would have been so easy too.
Or like a 3 or 4 player survival mode instead of just 2 player survival mode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lots of things they could have added to the game to really make it better, but I think a lot of that was probably also hamstrung by deadlines, I'm sure. Um,
Or the fact that they want to charge you $50 for a season pass,
yeah, that too.
so maybe they'll include it in that.
Yeah, fuck EA.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I'm just glad that I feel strong enough about the game that I'm not going to be tempted at all to buy the season pass.
yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. And I'm also the same way. I'm not going to buy the season pass unless there's something that comes out that I hear is really good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't need it.
I will say this about the game because a lot of my friends do own it, including you. So if everyone wants to like jump on and play Battlefront one night, like I'm down. Like I'll jump on and play it for a while. Like it's fine. I mean, if everyone wants to do it, like I'll do it. I mean, it is kind of dumb fun. Doesn't really take a lot of skill, but you
The
know,
Well, and this is where our video game problems exist. Is I want a game that I can jump on at 2 a.m. when I'm drunk and have fun. Like, and I really enjoy the deeper games. I really enjoy Fallout 4, for example. But there's an element of that is also a lot more of a slog. Um,
yeah,
it's a lot more of work to get, like you said with new fantasy shows. You have these new systems you have to learn, new world rules, all these
hmm
new, and you know, which is fine. But sometimes I just want something to shut the brain off and just
yeah. Just pick up and play. Yeah,
play. And Battlefront really got it for me because it was perfect kind of thing for that.
yeah. No, I understand. And
Well, let's go into your
speaks.
favorite.
Well, you want to talk about your runners up, or you want me to talk about my favorite, and then we'll do runners
Nah,
up. All right. So my favorite is The Witcher 3. And I'm basing that off a pretty small sample size because my thing this year was I was trying to play the first two Witcher games and kind of failed it on both counts with them because I started the first one, just could not I just could not get into that game and ended up watching like a 2 hour YouTube video just to kind of follow the story. It just wasn't fun enough to play. But the Witcher 2 was a pretty good game, and the system and the combat was a lot better. So I ended up playing about 2/3 of that game, and I was it was funny because I was sitting there playing the game one day, and I went to get my hair cut, and I was thinking about how I was kind of like annoyed with some of the stuff in Witcher 2, and I pulled up a review of Witcher 3 because Witcher 3 had actually been out for a couple months at that point, and I was really just trying to like bear down and finish The Witcher 2 before I started on 3 because I'm kind of a completionist. So I was sitting there like about to get my hair cut, reading this review, and just like it was a very glowing review, and a lot of the problems from The Witcher 2 were addressed in this review, and they were talking about it. And I was just thinking like, why am I trying to slog through this game when I could be playing this superior version? So
Right.
I went home. I basically just skimmed like what the rest of the story was, and if you play The Witcher 2 and you get as far as I did, you can kind of like foresee what's going to happen. There's a few choices you need to make, but I kind of like saw what happened. I saw the what choices were in front of me, and I kind of made I was able to make those choices in my mind for what I would have done. So I went into The Witcher 3 with that knowledge, and I haven't gotten that far into it. Like I'm really only like one big area in,
Right.
but just based on the scope, the artistry, the just pure execution of what CD Projekt Red was able to do in that game, like I have to name it the finest game that I played in 2015.
All right. And what were your runners up?
Runners up were actually a game that was a little bit underlooked, and I got the game in January when it came out, and a couple of my friends did, and we just had a great time. And every time I played this game, I just marveled at how well done the game is. And I'm talking about Dying Light by Techland. And yeah, it's really just that. Like every time I pick up the game, because I just actually recently finally finished the story. There's a lot to do in the game, so it took a while to get through it. And I just love jumping on, playing with my friends, and doing side quests and finding new weapons and crafting stuff. And the parkour system in the game is just amazing. Like movement in that game is probably some of the best I've ever seen done in an open world game. I mean, this blows like Assassin's Creed out of the water. So yeah, Dying Light is definitely one of my top games of the year. And then I do have to give a nod to Destiny: The Taken King. I
What I thought
mean,
was going to be your favorite.
no, it wasn't my favorite. It was a game I definitely probably played the most of, because I do play a lot of that game. It is a game where you spend a lot of time doing stuff, and I just thought that it really did kind of perfect, or not perfect, but really significantly improve what Destiny Year One was. So I definitely need to recognize that it was a big improvement from Year One, and I enjoyed a lot of the systems they introduced, and I I mean, yes, obviously I played a lot of the game, so I'm a little biased, but it's a fun game that I keep going back to. So what can I say?
Gotcha. So I'm going
Where
to
are your
pull out
runs then?
my runners up. Well, this one's an old one that I never got to play.
And
Uh,
by the way, I don't know if you mentioned, but Battlefront was your favorite game of the year, right?
yeah. This
Like,
one
yeah.
was okay. So my runners up are probably more likable games than that. But one is one that I never got a chance to play until I got it on Xbox One, which was the both Walking Dead games by Telltale.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoyed those a lot. And then the other two runner ups kind of get lumped as one. They're both definitive Ultimate Editions, whatever you remastered editions. Um, and that'd be the Xbox One Tomb Raider Definitive Edition and Gears of War Definitive Ultimate
Ultimate.
whatever edition.
Yeah, Ultimate Edition. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
both of which were games I didn't play the originals of, but had wanted to. So really
Okay.
those. And
Wait, you never played Gears 1?
I mean, I played like for a minute, but I never like really owned it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So and I heard someone was going to get that as well, so we could play a little co-op.
Somebody did get that.
All right, we got to play a little co-op.
If someone would actually hit me up to play some video games,
All right,
I would definitely do that.
all right, son, let's do it.
But there's only one person in this duo that seems to instigate. So
I
see.
instigate a lot of shit, but it tends not to be video games.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are good choices. I haven't played Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, but I'm going to because I'm really intrigued by wanting to play Rise of the Tomb Raider. That game looks real good.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I was a Tomb Raider fan from way, way, way back.
Oh, me too.
I mean, I won't get into how nerdy I was on the original Tomb Raider games, but
Okay, yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about your love of Laura. Might get a little over the top.
get a little over the top. But definitely fell off the series, after the series kind of fell apart pretty quickly.
Well, did you really follow it past the PS1 era?
I mean, I played those games on the PC, but
you played the PS1 games on PC, like the first four.
I played the PC games on the PC.
Well, you're talking like the original Tomb Raider. You played that on PC,
like the original Tomb Raider, yeah.
Oh, you've never been a PlayStation guy, then, have you?
Nope.
Wow. It just must burn you to have that PS4 in your house. It must just make you just hot and bothered. You must just hate that. I mean, obviously you hate it because you never asked to play PS4 games with me.
That is not true.
No, you do a Battlefront on PS4.
Yeah.
Well,
you just hate that game, so.
I just played the Tomb Raider PS1 games. Wait, what did you say?
I said you just hate that game, so
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. I just strongly dislike it. But it's a game that I will play that game. I don't hate it enough to not play it if a bunch of my friends are on.
Gotcha.
But that's rehashing.
Anyway,
yeah.
I think that's about it, though.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, we've probably talked about video games more than we ever have on this show. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Probably.
People, you let us know. Email us at thecomicstew@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. Well, first of all, was there anything else you wanted to say, JC? Or you just want to end this little dealio, this little 2015 recap?
Dealio and talk about something new next week.
Yeah.
Right into 2016.
Oh, yes. Well, it won't be that new because I know what I'm going to talk about. And actually, I need to talk about all these number ones that are coming out. All these new series, these post-Secret War series. I got a lot of catching up to do, buddy. So we're going to talk.
All right.
Cool. So, yes, you can follow us on the Twitters at The Comic Stew. Check out our website at thecomicstew.com. And you can follow JC on Instagram at what?
JC Argetsinger.
JC Argetsinger. Or go to the website. It's linked up there too. He takes pictures of pretty women. It's an entertaining Instagram. I definitely enjoy it. And let's see, anything else? You can also catch us on YouTube. And once again, any comments or questions, you can email to thecomicstew@gmail.com.
All right. Happy New Year, folks.
Yeah. 2015 was pretty good, but I'm thinking 2016 may just hopefully be better. What do you think? You excited about this year?
I'm going to have to say 2016 is already been better for me, so...
Okay, great. All right, well, we'll leave it at that. Although I might want to hear this story later, off the air.
This is going to be an off-the-air conversation.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, thank you, those of you that have checked out our podcast in 2015, going into 2016. We definitely have a lot of stuff that we want to bring you in 2016, and we hope you join us.
Yeah, definitely
Uh,
planning some guests and stuff like that coming up soon too. So
Wait, some what?
some guests and stuff.
Oh, some guests. Yeah, we're gonna start sprinkling in the guests in 2016 for sure. So we're excited about that. Yeah, JC. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, for JC, I'm Aaron Brewer, and the Comic Stew would like to say thank you for a great year, and we'll see you this year. God, I don't know. That didn't really come out the way I wanted it to.